Hello,
and welcome to Locutors of Trek, Trek 10, Speeches of Star Trek. It was a big task, but we undertook it, and I think
we
we've
spent a lot
been
of time
reasonably
reading.
successful.
Yeah,
Who are we? We're your hosts, Devin and Dave.
that's us, aka Plain Simple Tailors, and we're very glad to be back with you. But I think it's useful to spend a moment on the challenge of actually setting this thing up, because partly when we came up with this, Davin at one point in the week sent over, he's like, I put together a pretty comprehensive list here, and all of a sudden I wrote back, oh, this is great. So what are our criteria? And then we both, and a couple of weeks ago, like, I hoped you were going to be the guy to set that up. So, what we kind of drilled down on is that there are sort of two competing criteria that we feel are kind of in play here. One is the actual criterion of being rhetorically a speech in universe, when someone knowingly is like standing at a podium making a speech, that kind of rhetorical enterprise, pun entirely intended. And then there's another kind, which is when a character's dialogue taking on the character, being in the form of a monologue, takes on the character theatrically of a speech, even though it may not be made from a podium or in the official circumstances in which a speech would be made in universe. So we're trying to find a kind of balance to navigate between the sort of narratological view of a speech, or the narrative, like rhetorical view, and then the theatrical view of when dialogue becomes a speech in its own right, because we as the audience can experience it in that fashion. So we'll be kind of moving between those two definitions and finding a balance. But we do have a few actual speeches in here. Part of the trick is that we just realized there aren't that many actual speeches at Star Trek.
Podiums, there's not that many. There's like one podium speech made it onto this list, I think. But there's not that many.
Pretty much, yeah.
Speeches in Star Trek.
Yeah, not a lot of podia.
It's usually
there's a lot of podiing in terms of walking around, but yeah,
some other conversation going, you know what? I'm speeching it. I'm speeching it now. That's how they do it in Star Trek. But this was the hardest part, I would say, with this definition of how we were going to define this. Because when I sent you that list, I'm like, I don't know about half of this stuff.
Because like when you first suggested this topic, part of me immediately wanted to go to Picard's practice. For that, the Kandaki Homkuta, that one, which is, I think,
a great speech.
It's somewhat like it is a speech. It's just the most ludicrous one we could pick for this. So it's definitely not on our list, but that's the first one that occurred to me. And it's like Star Trek is going to mess with us for this topic, because even when we get something which is like formally a speech, it's pure gibberish. And like it only makes sense because it's fun to see Patrick Stewart do that shit. And give it gravitas. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the other features of a speech, I think, that we noted, is that there is a certain kind of gravitas or a seriousness in it that can exceed its narrative function or its in-universe function.
Like there were some great monologues that like you just want to throw onto a list like this, but for some reason just didn't seem to make the criteria for us. Like, we can talk about those maybe after.
Yeah.
But maybe we should get into it, should we?
Let's do it. I love those numbers.
Number 10. Yeah, they're pretty slick, eh? All right. Well, number 10.
Man's still amused by
There's
TV
just
graphics.
One more thing I want to say. I hope there's a lesson for all of us in this. Although some of the species we've encountered here have been peaceful, others seem governed only by their own self-interests. This appears to be a region of space that doesn't have many rules. But I believe we can learn something from the events that have unfolded. In a part of space where there are few rules, it's more important than ever that we hold fast to our own. In a region where shifting allegiances are commonplace, we have to have something stable to rely on. And we do. The principles and ideals of the Federation. As far as I'm concerned, those are the best allies we could have.
So for this one, now Janeway doesn't get a lot of speeches. Most of her best speeches are usually just dressing down a crew member for insubordination or something like that, which she does better than anyone. You feel guilty just watching it. But so there's another great Janeway speech that I'll say now was omitted from the list, and it's the one that kicks off the whole series. So we need this to be a crew, a Starfleet crew. And it's the only way we're going to make it through this journey. Now, this speech that we just listened to is from Alliances, which comes later. So and the thing about those two speeches is they're kind of the same speech, but this one is more, it's after experiencing some of what they're talking, some of the hardships, and what happens when they don't follow the Starfleet. So it's more earned. It's like a more earned version of her other kind of really good speech. So I kind of thought this one took the tops for Janeway.
Yeah, I like it because it really is it's a fulfillment of those first words in some ways, right? Even though it does sort of push again toward what we're going to have to do in the future. You're right. They're speaking with experience of the Delta Quadrant at this point, and one that's going to push their principles to the limit pretty routinely. And we do see that over the course of the series, there are some Starfleet principles that are ultimately harder to hold on to in the long run than others, and that's I do like that because it is a constant project for Voyager. Yeah, for sure, precisely.
Maybe none of them. Maybe we don't need any of them. But yeah, and like it's just Janeway saying to her crew, see, I told you so. I told you back then that we were going to need the Federation values, because trying to play by these Delta Quadrant rules, which are just kind of Wild West and crazy, the potential for chaos and more problems is just so much higher. And so,
yeah, and I think they're not practiced at being those people either. So they're going to do it way worse than any folks out there are going to do it, right? Their real hope is to stick to what they know in that sense and do it in an excellent way.
Especially since they have faith in those kind of principles and ideals anyway. So they're like, well,
absolutely,
ourselves in this time too.
Yeah.
All right, number 9.
Well, number 9.
And so 2 years ago, our government signed a treaty with the Dominion. In it, the Dominion promised to extend Cardassia's influence throughout the Alpha Quadrant. In exchange, we pledged ourselves to join the war against the Federation and its allies. Cardassians have never been afraid of war, a fact we've proven time and again over these past 2 years. 7 million of our brave soldiers have given their lives to fulfill our part of the agreement. And what has the Dominion done in return? Nothing. We've gained no new territories. In fact, our influence throughout the quadrant has diminished. And to make matters worse, we are no longer masters in our own home. Travel anywhere in Cardassian, what do you find? Jem'Hadar, Vorta, and now Breen. Instead of the invaders, we have become the invaded. Our allies have conquered us without firing a single shot. Well, no longer. This morning, detachments of the Cardassian 1st, 3rd, and 9th Orders attacked Dominion outposts on Rondak 3. This assault marks the first step toward the liberation of our homeland.
See if you can get confirmation
from the true oppressors of the Alpha Quadrant. I call upon Cardassians everywhere. Resist. Resist today. Resist tomorrow. Resist till the last Dominion soldier has been driven from our soil.
I mean, maybe the best 4 words in Star Trek history are resist today, resist tomorrow. Damn that.
Oh, man. It's, I love this speech so much because the character that we see in Damar for so much of the series. He is. He's one of the greatest Cardassian characters. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For my pleasure, I think Garrick would sit up there with him. But in that sense, he is maybe the best Cardassian in that moment. It's
Great
a really
arc.
excellent way to put it. And he truly becomes a hero of Cardassia, right? In and through this. The other lovely thing I like about this is that there's a bit of Ozymandias in Watchmen about this. This morning, I'm not telling you about it because I'm planning. I'm telling you about it because I already did this stuff.
I wanted to mention that too. It's so good. Like, that's what makes it such an effective speech. He's like, I'm not just like making a plea to the people. He's like, I'm making a plea to the people because here's what I've already done.
He's like, I'm leading from the front, folks. Yeah.
It's so good. And it's like, it's full of so much regret. And like, because, he was there for when he was under Ducat at the time, but he was right there for when they decided to do this horrible idea and join the Dominion anyway. So it's just full of like regret and anger and shame, and it's just, but like also hopefulness and fight, and it's great.
And I love the fact we get that little glimpse of the effect. Cisco going there. Can you get confirmation on that? Like the sense that he's like, oh, everything is changing if this is the case. Is lovely because it's at a point in the war when they are just desperate to find something to make things work for them.
And when that speech ends, it immediately cuts to Wayne, and he just goes, "Yes, and we've just confirmed it." So everyone's just trying to confirm what he's saying. Oh, I love it though. Yeah,
man.
The first and third and ninth orders attack. Oh, it's so good. So good.
Yeah.
All right, Damar.
Oh man,
Cardassia for Cardassia.
It's so good.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. I'm Christopher Pike. My world is called Earth. And though it's far from here, my people and yours are very much alike. This is my world today.
Pretty nice place.
Though we were not always peaceful. This is Earth in our 21st century. Before everything went wrong. It's a lot like your world today. Recently, I was treated to a glimpse of my future. It was not all I'd hoped. After all, what good is there in knowing your future? A friend of mine asked me that recently and didn't understand what he meant. Until now. I've seen my future. Let me show you yours. Our conflict also started with a fight for freedoms. We called it the Second Civil War, then the Eugenics War, and finally, just World War III. This was our last day. The day the Earth we knew ceased to exist. What began as an eruption in one nation ended in the eradication of 600,000 species of animals and plants and 30% of Earth's population. Global suicide. What we gave you is the means to exterminate yourselves. And from the looks of you, you're gonna do it. You'll use competing ideas of liberty to bomb each other to rubble just like we did. And then your last day will look just like this. Perhaps somewhere all your ends are written as indelibly as mine. But I choose to believe that your destinies are still your own. Maybe that's why I'm here. To remind you of the power of possibility. Maybe that's the good in seeing my future, that I might remind you that right up until the very end, life is to be worn gloriously. Because until our last moment, the future is what we make it. So, go to war with each other. Or join our Federation of Planets. and reach for the stars.
It's super Star Trek.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he's just so damn charming and likable. Like he didn't even.
I like this. Hi,
stuff.
Sorry to interrupt you.
But yeah, hi.
He's just so disarming, you know. But you know, one of the things that really struck me about the speech was his use of pause and silence, the use of end wait to let that to let those concepts sort of sit with you for a moment. And I know we're missing some visuals there. We're also cutting to pictures, to sort of visuals of Earth and thing, but you hardly need them. You know, it speaks so powerfully to our current situation as well. We're in the situation of that species where we're about to throw ourselves off a cliff any day now, and maybe we can avoid it. You know, maybe we can be wiser than that. But I mean, and honestly, this is what some of the best of Star Trek dialogue does, right? Because it speaks right to you as well as speaking to the story.
Yeah, that's what Star Trek does. That's why this is such a Star Trek speech, because it kind of encapsulates that message of Star Trek so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the speaking to now through the future.
Yeah, and we're always trying to figure out that sense of fate versus personal agency. You know, we describe it in a million different ways, but it's one of the fundamental questions of our human lives, right? Like, how much agency do I really have in my own fate, in the outcomes of my life, other than to just be capable of screwing it up, you know?
I
and
love his message there.
Yeah.
That like we do have you can make it. The future is what you make it. So like, make it a good one.
Yeah, you could just do a new thing. You know, I love that message. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic and super important to like the hopefulness of getting to anything resembling a Star Trek future. Mm-hmm. And you know, that speech leads in a way quite well into number 7. Wait a minute, am I missing one? Uh-oh, hold on.
That poem that Data was listening to, which is just 42 minutes of silence. Sit with us, folks.
Oh no, we're good here. We're good here. Number 7.
Up until about 100 years ago, there was one question that burned in every human, that made us study the stars and dream of traveling to them. Are we alone? Our generation is privileged to know the answer to that question. We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon, what's beyond our own shores. Yet, the more I've experienced, the more I've learned that no matter how far we travel or how fast we get there, the most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us, all of us, to each other. The final frontier begins in this hall. Let's explore it together.
It's like if you listen to Pike's speech, you can, and you take that advice, maybe you'll get to do number 7. Like maybe you'll get to do Archer. Maybe you'll get to like reach for the best part of yourselves and try to explore that, and you know, do it together. It's so good.
Yeah, his message of solidarity there, even through the fact that, you know, he's speaking to Vulcans and Tellarites and Andorians and that species that is insanely polite and very demanding. I think they're in this scene as well. Yeah, I love the sense that like our differences should be seen less as impediments between us, as challenges for our creativity and our like curiosity about each other, right? Because when we meet each other, we're fundamentally meeting aspects of ourselves that play out differently, or different possibilities that are realized outside of us.
I love how this
Yeah.
one, it reaches forward, but it also reaches back, because it's just like it evokes the imagery of like a Neanderthal, or like a pre-human or
Mhm.
human Australopithecus, something like that.
Yeah, even though those
Flying back
creatures
looking up
across
at
the
the
Bering
stars,
Strait,
just
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
anything.
All those explorers that we don't even know their names for anymore,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Pretty great stuff there as well, Captain Archer.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
And that's hard-won wisdom for him.
and I should say, like, all of these ones we picked, the hardest part was defining our speeches, what speech was going to mean. But the next hardest thing, I think, was like ranking them. So we almost, to some degree, we did, but like we got to this 10 pretty quick, and then it was just like, where do they sit?
Yeah, trying to figure out what qualities would mark him out. I mean, this is a speech. There's no podium because he's wandering around in the middle of a circle, but
Yeah, I thought there
it's
was,
very
but he
much
definitely
a speech, you know.
Yeah.
And
So was
so this
Damar's.
one
I mean,
really
Damar's
does. This
typically
is one of
pretty
the few
messy.
that sits on the list for every reason. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to.
All right, let's do it.
Number 6.
They used to say if a man could fly, he'd have wings. But he did fly. He discovered he had to. Do you wish that the first Apollo mission hadn't reached the moon, or that we hadn't gone on to Mars and then to the nearest star? That's like saying you wish that you still operated with scalpels and sewed your patients up with catgut, like your great-great-great-great-grandfather used to. I'm in command. I could order this. But I'm not. Because Dr. McCoy is right in pointing out the enormous danger potential in any contact with life and intelligence as fantastically advanced as this. But I must point out that the possibilities, the potential for knowledge and advancement is equally great. Risk. Risk is our business. That's what this starship is all about. That's why we're aboard her. You may descend without prejudice. Do I hear a negative vote?
Ooh,
What say you, Dave?
gosh, Kirk's Kirk for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way he puts those impossibilities together. That, I mean, he's always so. He's a very existential captain, right? And Pike echoes some of that when he says, "I choose to believe in this rather than that." But Kirk comes from such a place of, like, just deep passion for what is human in his humanity, And he takes it not. I mean, he makes these weird kind of chauvinistic sounding jokes with Bones and with Spock all the time, but it really is about a kind of delight in playing off their different qualities. And I think that's what drives him to decisions like this.
Who doesn't?
Exactly, right? Like, you see him doing that in the very first episode when he's teasing McCoy about the weird salt vampire thing, right? But at the same time, like,
vampire McCoy.
That's right. It's what drives him to these moments here, where he's capable of making that leap to say the possibilities here are just too rich. Ultimately, right? Not that I'm going to demand that you come. He can't. He's not going to insist, even though he could. I love his sense of liberty in all this. Really, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I think we sort of like built this interesting narrative accidentally. If you start at number 10, it's like Janeway saying like, stick to your principles, and then you get number 9, and resist the powers that be that may be destroying your ideas of utopia, and like then you get to number 8, where it's just Pike saying, you have to choose something better, and then you get to the next one where it's just like, and then we can reach for the stars, and then this one Kirk's just like, we'll reach for the stars, but she's risky. She's a little bit risky.
Yeah. And that's what we love. We love the risk.
That's the business.
Yeah.
It's like interesting. What if this narrative keeps going? Probably not.
I mean, listen. The hive mind does many things. Yeah. Let's see all right. Let's move on to our next one and see how we go.
That was my initial takeaway when we listened to it. The same as yours. So it's like, man, Kirk is sure Kirking it up, isn't he?
Oh man, that's about as Kirky as it gets there.
I'll just be walking around like the house, like vacuuming or something. I'll just be like, that's why we're aboard her. You just say, what, Daddy? He's like, nah, don't worry.
Kid immediately climbs onto the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to number 5. All right.
I will not sacrifice the Enterprise. We've made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther. I will make them pay for what they've done.
Look, the chills there.
Yeah, he covers a lot of emotional ground there.
Dave, this was the last one we included, and we
I mean, this in terms. This is one of those moments where Janeway's words come into such profound relief, right? This is a moment where Picard is being pushed to the breaking point, internally and externally. And he's saying something true, but he's saying it at the limit of his own ability to really articulate it.
And at the edge of
somewhere that we don't often see Picard get to.
It's the edge of what he's willing to do, is like without completely betraying who he is as well. Like he's at the edge. He's at the edge there.
Yeah. And he's got such hurt and rage in there. And, I think that's part of the risk that Kirk talks about, right? Because we see a lot of captains get bent around by their command. From Kirk's former colleague who becomes kind of a warlord despot on this planet to Benjamin Maxwell.
Garth of Isaac.
Oh, yeah, Garth, exactly. The problem of the weight of these decisions, sort of the ethical decisions you make out in the vacuum that way, not a moral vacuum, but a literal, millions of miles of nothing around you and the rest of them, anybody going to make this decision. It's an extreme kind of thrownness in an existential sense, right? And so that this has profound and maybe scarifying personal impacts on us from the risk, is one of the hard edges of space travel, and certainly of our explorations generally, right? We might get hurt in our vulnerability.
Yeah, and there's a bit of echo from earlier in the list too. You know what Picard could have said here? Resist today, resist tomorrow.
Absolutely. Resistance is not futile.
Resistance is not futile.
And I mean, that's the struggle he has the whole film, right? And always with the Borg. Will I just lose to them again? because it happens
Not if
so
you're
immediately.
Janeway,
We just,
the board killer.
yeah, that's true.
They tell tales of her.
Oh man.
All right, number 4.
Your Honor, a courtroom is a crucible. In it we burn away irrelevancies until we are left with a pure product, the truth, for all time. Now, sooner or later, this man, or others like him, will succeed in replicating Commander data. And the decision you reach here today will determine how we will regard this creation of our genius. It will reveal the kind of a people we are, what he is destined to be. It will reach far beyond this courtroom and this one android. It could significantly redefine the boundaries of personal liberty and freedom, expanding them for some, savagely curtailing them for others. Are you prepared to condemn him and all who come after him into servitude and slavery? Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits. Waiting.
John Luke.
Pinocchio, his strings cut. Man.
Yeah. And there's a big good stuff before that, but it's quite a bit of back and forth. That's where his final speech really kind of kicks off.
And this one has had a tremendous legacy.
Yes.
You know, the whole of the first season of Picard is essentially based on this.
It's kind of the inverse of Pike's speech. He's just like, you can choose better, or Picard's saying, or we can just like start betraying ourselves. Let's do that then.
Yeah, and for the sake of a utility that is almost superfluous to us is also the size of his argument, right? Like that. Yeah, this is life. We should be marveling at it, not seeking to add it to our technological and biological perfection here. That's not quite in the running yet in the series, but it certainly fits thematically with the problems of Measure of a Man, right? If you can just graft things into your society whenever you feel like it, what happens? And in the same way, when we see all those units in that, what was it, the opening of the second episode of Picard, was it? Season 1?
Where he's talking to, they were no longer Starfleet?
No, where we see the robot uprising.
Oh,
the android uprising, which is one of the. I mean, that is an amazing piece of.
I like
just footage. It was brilliant. Oh, it's tremendously well done, right? And it's terrifying because it's so not a Federation world as we would think of it, especially like Mars, right, which is right at the heart of the darn thing. And what has gone wrong to allow them to be using these guys like this and speaking to them in that way signifies to, a deep rot in the heart of the Federation at that point. Yeah. And clearly not one that a choice the Federation has finished making.
Was it Richard Hanley who told us that ChatGPT might be sentient, so maybe we should be nice?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what happened the first time at Google, an AI, I think it was at Google, this apocryphal story that it asked for a lawyer because it wanted to discuss its rights as a sentient being, and they promptly shut it down. We're not there yet. That's for sure.
Great speech. And it's kind of the beginning, maybe the beginning of, I don't know if we see it any instance of it before, with Picard kind of getting a hard dose of the darker side of Starfleet, or the side that he does not like, which led me to the thing I kind of mentioned earlier with it was no longer Starfleet. Like, this is the beginning of where we see him in this.
Yeah, you've become a stranger to. I think you're right. This is a point where, what he sees in it is so deeply in contravention of the principles he holds.
And they're what's supposed to be all of their principles. It's just like, we're here to seek life, and like, we found it, and you're just gonna like remove its agency. Like, is that what we're doing? It's just
because it's got a different basis than us, right?
So backwards.
Yeah,
And luckily,
absolutely.
Philippa makes the right choice, but because
Yeah, and then somehow that choice gets eroded over the years, right?
yeah, it didn't take long, did it?
It doesn't seem to. It takes about 15 years, and Data goes down in Nemesis, and after that, the floodgates seem to be open with his effective demise.
We have no nice face to put on like androids and artificial intelligence anymore.
Yeah.
Data.
And, I suppose it's a cautionary tale about the questions of legacy and how we memorialize things. Because for the crew of the Enterprise, Data is memorialized in their hearts, in monuments, in their lives, and the way they remember him. But the vast majority of Federation citizens never knew Data. They might have heard of the android who served on the Enterprise, or have seen some piece of media that he was involved in. I would love to see like instructional videos on painting with Data and
The
Spock.
first artificially created sentient person that they've encountered probably was big news. It was probably pretty.
So I mean, I'm sure he's super famous, but most
Yeah.
people didn't know him, right?
No,
And most people
name.
would exactly just he'd be a celebrity to them in that sense, right? But the reality of working with that for folks who are so used to working with all sorts of interactive technologies like the computers they talk to and that sort of thing, I feel like there might be a real cultural pressure that would be really hard to slow down in terms of just adding this as a utility to our lives,
Mm-hmm. Well, should be top 3.
All right, let's do it.
Go. Number 3.
We're breaking into the stratosphere.
Oh, yeah.
At 0800 hours, station time, the Romulan Empire formally declared war against the Dominion. They've already struck 15 bases along the Cardassian border. So, this is a huge victory for the good guys. This may even be the turning point of the entire war. There is even a welcome to the fight party tonight in the wardroom. So, I lied. I cheated. I bribed men to cover the crimes of other men. I am an accessory to murder. But the most damning thing of all, I think I can live with it. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. Garrick was right about one thing. A guilty conscience is a small price to pay for the safety of the Alpha Quadrant. So I will learn to live with it. Because I can live with it. I can live with it. Computer, erase that entire personal log.
Man.
And now, here is one of the reasons why, like, this was one of the ones we had such a challenge with, right?
Yeah.
Because it defies every definition we've given of a speech. It's literally destroyed. It never hears any public audition. It can have no effect on anybody except the viewer. So it's maybe as pure a version of that sort of theatrical speech as we could ask for. Yeah.
There's so many, like, it's not a secret that Sisko is my favorite character in fiction. And there's so many instances of, or examples of why in this speech. Like, people like to try to come at me with like some character things about Sisko, and like, I'm always just like, you're welcome. Like, yeah, he'll this is almost like a follow-up to Picard's speech, where I will make them pay for what they've done. It took a lot for, like, too much to get Picard to the edge of where he would act the way he needed to do to get the job done in that particular instance. Cisco will get there a little bit sooner, and I think that's probably helpful. You smash a lot less tables, so like that's one of the reasons I love Cisco. But he's also super in tune with who he is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's such an interesting character development when they like all the stuff with the prophets. Yeah, it makes him question that a bit or like confuse that a bit because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise he knows exactly who he is. He knows he can live with it. He knows that he did what he had to do and he would do it all again. Like he's not questioning himself. He's just telling himself what he did.
Yeah, and
Fucking
even
cool.
when he knows that his principles are going to leave him with a guilty conscience for this, he says, "I will accept that guilt, right? I'm going to accept the fact that this is going to have damaged my moral compass in some fashion, because I can live with it. I can make it work. I'm in a position to make it work, and." Yeah, it's such a fascinating picture of the darker side of experience in the Federation, right? Because they're at a desperate time. It's a time where realpolitik is really defining their relationships with other groups, and
it's taken over the utopia.
Yeah, and I mean it really sort of points out that in some ways that the sort of Star Trek milieu we met in the original series has to be a no place, right? Like in some ways, it's definitely a utopia, and a utopia means, of course, like a place that isn't real. It's an utopos. It's not a place. And so in some ways, like DS9, we discover a lot of non-utopic qualities to the Federation, but I find that
it's not a place. DS9's like, yes,
damage my desire to be there. It just means that we're still real human beings while we're there, and for all the sort of beautiful highfalutin statements that people on the flagship of the Federation can give you and live up to, because they're like the people that are the cream of the crop, right? Where things are more frayed at the edges or that sort of thing of this whole, or at the interstices between places, those definitions aren't so easy to make, right? It's out where you can encounter difference in such a raw form that it's not a question of simple diplomacy. It may be a question of survival or of simply resistance.
Yeah, it's like the work doesn't stop at utopia. Like you could get the impression in TNG that the work stops at utopia. It's like we've made it. But DS9's just like, no, the work in some ways gets even harder. You know how it's easier to get to a utopia than maintain it. So,
and when you think about it, that could be the difference between 1987 and 1993. 87, the Cold War was still going on. But we're coming toward the end of history in Francis Fukuyama's sense, right? But by 93, the Cold War has technically ended. The Soviet Union has been unilaterally disbanded by its own highest government. And shit's still happening, right? Like things like, all of that stuff is still going on, right? Whether we want to cast that in terms of sort of an analysis from the perspective of an anti-imperialist struggle, or whether we want to put that from the perspective of just a sort of narration of what happens. Yeah, history keeps right on marching, and they have to start building institutions and doing all sorts of things to make it keep moving, right? Whatever we think of whatever got built.
And I like kind of his ending kind of ethos here in this one, where he's just like, I can live with it because I can live with it. Meaning, at least the way I take it is, this sucks, but I'm going to wake up tomorrow. And I will live with it tomorrow. And it'll suck the next day, but I will wake up and I will live with it the next day. And he's just like...
Yeah. And there's something about that process called living, like being alive, which is somehow wider and deeper than our conceptions of good and evil either. You know, like life can actually hold those contraries without being destroyed by them. And that's something he realized all of a sudden. He's like, oh, holy shit. Like, my morals in that sense, my ethics are distinct choices I make all the time. And if I make a different choice, then I can make that. Which again is like a weird inverse of Pike and Archer's speeches, but for what he feels is a constructive purpose, you know? Which is, yeah.
Hashtag Cisco was right.
Yeah, he's a complicated man.
I mean, he's such a deep character. He's so good.
No one understands him but his prophets.
All right. Final two. Number 2.
All right.
You know, there are some words I've known since I was a schoolboy. With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censured, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. Those words were uttered by Judge Aaron Satie as wisdom and warning. The first time any man's freedom is trodden on, we're all damaged. I fear that day.
How dare you!
Oh, shut up, Nora. This one is
cranky pants.
gut-wrenching because it's just so goddamn true. It's just so goddamn heartbreakingly true.
Yeah.
Man.
Though I mean the whole conception of this episode is just a brilliant piece of theater. The idea of a drum head and the whole sense of, you know, summary martial law being sort of taken into their hands and that sort of thing. You know, it's just so brilliantly set up, right? We're never really outside of that room for very long in the episode. You know, it's so much like a ship in a bottle in that way. That I love it. You know, it's very much self-contained in the same way as Bernard made the point earlier. You know, we put these things into a crucible and we come out with a product, and that's the truth. And to quote another courtroom setting, she can't handle the truth.
She can't. No, definitely not.
And I mean, her self-destruction in that scene is quite compelling as well. You know, when she just realizes she's just done. And he's walked her into it, you know.
And the other admiral just like looks at her with disgust and walks out of the room. It's just like, ooh,
yeah.
Picard just took you down, and like it's almost 2 good speeches in one because he does that snippet from Aaron Satie's speech, but then he adds to it, like so it's like you get the Picard half too.
Yeah, and again, rhetorically brilliant in that he uses the father that she constantly invokes to act as the correction to her, right? I mean, that's fundamentally what breaks her. She can't imagine that he could use this memory of this dear figure and turn it against her friggin' just lawfare against everyone she can see, you know.
She's like, this is the one of the meme too with Picard, you know, like,
oh yeah,
because he's just so disappointed. Like he liked her, it was like looked up to her, and he's just so disappointed. She's talking and he's not even looking at her anymore. He's just like, and then he breaks into his speech, and it's just so good. And like, but the way he just says "we're all damaged" is just perfect. Damn fine actor.
Yeah.
Now,
and ultimately, that's IDIC in a way, right? We're all part of each other in that sense, in that we're all, you know, we're all infinitely diverse in infinite combinations. You know, yeah. Oh man,
okay,
what a wonderful episode. Here we go. Yeah, I know.
I'm tired of being calm. Calm never got me a damn thing.
I'm warning you, Benny. If you don't stop this, I'm going to call the police.
You go ahead, call them. Call anybody you want. They can't do anything to me. Not anymore. And nor can any of you. I'm a human being. Damn it. You can deny me all you want. But you cannot deny Ben Sisko exists. That future, that space station, all those people, they exist in my mind. I created it. And every one of you know it. You read it. It's here. You hear what I'm telling you. You can pop a story, but you cannot destroy an idea. Don't you understand? That's ancient knowledge. You cannot destroy an idea. That future, I created it, and it's real. Don't you understand? It is real. I created it, and it's real. It's real.
Oh man, yeah, I can't do it. I can't get through it.
Oh my goodness.
So for me, that's my favorite actor doing it. My favorite character, or at least a twist of it. But that scene is the most compelling thing I've ever seen acting do for me. Like there's nothing I can ever think of when I think of acting in like a compelling scene. That's it. That's the one I think of. And I think for me, that's why it tops this list.
That scream of "I'm a human being." Oh my God.
For the obvious, like, yes, I'm just like the rest of you. And just
Yeah.
but having to plea for that after facing like brutal examples of how that's not being like accepted.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I mean, how many voices could that be true of? You know, I mean, that is Rafat Al-Arir. If I have to die, let it be a tale. You know, that is so many figures who have insisted on their own humanity being real in the face of the most consistent and brutal determination to reject and deny that humanity. And fundamentally, if you know, we've definitely built a subconscious narrative here for these speeches, but if we started where we started, the whole ethic of resistance, of engaging in struggles with each other for liberation, is fundamentally about this thing. You cannot kill an idea like human dignity, you know?
That the whole pleading for agency thing topped with that, like, because then you think about like how many figures in history that we'll never know the names of was that true of, like that their works somehow carried on, yet they were never, you know, they lived in misery or were never granted
absolutely
the benefit of that work, you know, like.
I mean, that's when we I mean, Benny is literally, in that sense, he's very much a sort of martyr in the cause of liberation, right? Because a martyros in Greek literally just means a witness, someone who is going to manifest this reality, whether you kill them or not, or whether it kills them or not, you know. And that is Benny. If any character in Trek or fiction, perhaps, you can't. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, and like just like, man, it's just so heartbreaking. Like having to reach for that. He's just like everything is horrible. Everyone's just beating me up, firing me, denying my agency. But at least I have my story. It's like, man.
Yeah.
And that's like so real. It's just, oh man.
I mean, it makes the point about what a speech is, right? Why do we get so excited about someone standing on steps and saying, "I have a dream"? You know, why do we get excited about these things? It's not because the words themselves accomplish the reality. It's that they articulate the reality. They articulate the possibility of what, of where we are, where events are going, or where they could go, and somehow it brings it into consciousness so we can act on it and allow our agency a level of freedom that we might not have otherwise had. But yeah.
Well,
Whew. That's quite a ride.
Yeah.
Right. We both, going in, we both knew this was going to happen by this entry.
Oh, yeah. I almost didn't make it through Picard. And then I was like, damn you, Benny. Got me again. But it's like, I don't know. I guess the final thing I would say is if you want something to be real, create it.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that's lacking is the project itself. Exactly. So I think as a moment of hopefulness in a world where all of these are roiling like possibilities around us as a storm. Yeah. Ad astra per aspera. End transmission.